I feel like tiny house life is a lot more different, and the culture is a lot different than van life. It's very different because we're not as mobile. We can move our houses, and some people do move their houses constantly, but most tiny houses don't move as often.
What happens when two siblings decide to buy tiny houses and live next door to one another? Welcome to the Tiny House Lifestyle Podcast, the show where you learn how to plan, build, and live the tiny lifestyle. I'm your host, Ethan Waldman, and this is episode 211 with Ashley Monkhouse. Ashley Monkhouse is here to tell us all about her tiny lifestyle. Even though the two sisters bought their tiny houses from the same builder, they are quite different. In this interview, we'll hear Ashley's tiny story, learn about the tiny house community where they live, and find out what advice Ashley would give herself if she could go back in time before she bought a tiny house. Let's face it, most tiny house dwellers want their tiny homes to be small, but not uncomfortable. That means reliable, unlimited hot water. Precision Temp's propane-fired hot water heaters reliably provide unlimited hot water, and they're specifically designed with tiny homes in mind. In fact, the NSP 550 model was installed in my own tiny home, and the reason I chose it was because it did not require a large hole in the side of my home like other RV hot water heaters. Instead, it mounts discreetly through the floor of the tiny house and works quietly and reliably. Right now, Precision Temp is offering $50 off any unit plus free shipping when you use the coupon code THLP. So head over to precisiontemp.com and use the coupon code THLP at checkout. All right, I am here with Ashley Monkhouse. Ashley is a tiny house dog mom with a focus on becoming a better person as she continues her tiny journey. With a degree in psychology and anthropology, she's all about understanding why she does things and learning from her history to create a better future. Ashley Monkhouse, welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. Thank you for being here. I've been following you on Instagram. I recently saw an awesome tour of your tiny house and your sister's tiny house, but I want to just start with, what got you into tiny living in the first place? What's your tiny story?
Well, I think my story, is pretty funny because it's all about being a sibling. So like my sister wanted to go and see tiny houses. She didn't want to go by herself. So I went with her. And then I walked into one of the houses and I just thought it was the coolest thing in the world. And since she was getting one, I had to get one. I can't be the only one left out. And that's kind of how I started my tiny house journey. She was getting one because we did live together and I was about to leave her and go live with my friend. So she was trying to downsize.
Okay. So you went and saw a tiny house with your sister. Mm-hmm. And did you end up buying one first or did she?
Well, we got them the same time technically, but we had two separate design meetings. Hers was first and then mine, just because, they have to build it. So they have to take some time between them. Yep. But we both got them on the same day as well.
And did you both worked with the same company?
Yes, we did.
Did you get a discount for buying two?
No, I wish, tiny house had bulk discounts.
Seriously, I guess if they had to build two different houses for you and your sister, then, maybe if they were going to build the two exact same houses,
it probably would have been cheaper,
Yeah, but it's important to get what you want. That's custom for your needs.
Yes, I totally agree.
So tell us about your tiny house. The stats, like how big is it? What are some of the features? Those kinds of things.
So I do live in a 26-foot tiny house. It's about between 200 to 50 square feet because I only have one loft. I know some people have two lofts. And my house is mainly centered around my kitchen and my bathroom. For tiny houses, I have a pretty large kitchen because I love to cook and I just love making new meals and just trying new things in my kitchen. And then the bathroom because I love, putting on clothes and just getting dressed up and having a great time. I even have a bathtub in my tiny house.
Wow.
It fits me because I'm short. I'm 5'5". So it fits me sitting down. Maybe not everybody else.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. And so you love to cook. So you have a big kitchen. And is the loft a sleeping loft, or is it a downstairs bedroom and a storage loft?
So my loft is a sleeping loft. That is where my bed is.
Okay.
It's mainly storage for my shoes. I love shoes. So I've turned my loft into kind of like a shoe haven for me, but I still have a full-size bed in it and everything. So it's
the shoe
fun.
Loft.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
The shoe loft.
How long have you been living tiny now?
So I've had my tiny house. I got it in 2018.
Okay.
I did move out of it for a couple of months and then like a year, and then I moved back. So in total, it would be about 2 years since I've like lived in my tiny house, like fully lived in it by myself.
Okay. That's a pretty decent chunk of time. Why did you move out, may I ask?
I just had a partner at the time, and it was just easier, and I was renting it out, so
nice,
making that money.
Yeah, that's the cool thing about tiny houses, that you don't necessarily always have to sell them if you're not going to live there anymore.
Yeah, but I like still owning it. So
yeah, totally. And so, do you own the tiny house debt free?
Yes, I do. Me and my sister, we both bought ours outright, so we just have like the lot rentals and such like that.
That's so awesome. I would imagine that of your peers, of your friends, you're probably the only or one of the only people who like owns their house outright.
Yes, I am, and I mean I can see it that way, but it's not like a house. In my mind, it doesn't seem like a house. So I'm like, yeah, technically I do own my house, but it doesn't feel like it. If that makes sense.
It doesn't feel like a house?
No, it just feels like, I don't know. It's like my bedroom. That's what it feels like. My tiny house is just my big bedroom.
Okay.
Especially since my sister lives next door. That's her bedroom.
Right. Yeah, I love that aspect of your story, that you and your sister live next door, and so you really are able to spend a lot of time together, but you also still have your own space.
Yes, I do love that aspect. Me and my sister, we weren't always close growing up, but now we're getting like a lot closer, and it's easier when if something happens, I just run next door and be like, "Hey Alexis, watch my dogs real quick. I have to go do something," or just something like that.
Yeah, no, it's great to have a sibling as a neighbor, as long as you get along well.
Yes. And if we don't, go back to your separate rooms, and siblings who always end up coming back together in the end.
Yeah. Yeah. So, can you tell us about the tiny house, the community, the lot that you rent?
My tiny house community. So I love where I'm living right now. I did live in a horse farm for a little bit with RVs, which was an experience, but the tiny house that I'm in right now, like the community, I really enjoy it. I think it's a beautiful place to be. I get honey for like sometimes because they do have bees on the property, which is so much. It's so nice since I have allergies. Like having fresh honey is always great. And then the neighbors are just all so nice, and we're always looking out for each other. And like if anyone sees something, we all talk about it. And like, hey, do you know this person? What's going on here? Just so that we all feel safe in the space.
Yep.
And I really enjoy that aspect.
That's awesome. And so this is like an official tiny house community. How many houses are there?
But yes, this is an official tiny house community. I'm trying to think, because almost all of the lots I think are filled. Because I know she talks about there's a waiting list. I think there's about 12 houses, 11.
Wow. And how much, if you don't mind saying, how much is the rent to have a spot?
So the lot rental is $475 a month, and that includes like water, electricity, sewage, like all of those utilities. Like Wi-Fi, you have to get by yourself, but that's understandable.
That's awesome. That seems like a great deal, and you get to live with other tiny housers, for better or for worse.
We do learn a lot from each other because everyone's houses go through different things at different stages, so it's easy and it's fun to converse and be like, hey, my house is doing this. Is you guys' house okay? How did you guys fix this issue when you had it? And just things like that.
Totally. So as somebody who studied anthropology, what is your take on the the tiny house culture, or do you see tiny house dwellers as being kind of their own culture in a way?
I really do, in my opinion, just because my sister watches like van life sometimes and like living in a yurt. It's like she tells me about all these things. She's the one that does the research. And I don't know, I feel like tiny house life is a lot more different and the culture is a lot different than van life or like RV living or just like changing out a bus or sprinter van. Like it's very different because we're not as mobile. We can move our houses and some people do move their houses constantly, but most tiny house stores that I've seen, they don't move as often. So it's like you get to be stationed and planted for a little bit. If you do choose to move in a little later time, you do, but it's not something that you do like every week. It's like if you are moving, it's like every month, couple of months, even wait a year, 2 years, and then move to a new city. So it gives a completely different culture and I enjoy it. I do like the stability part of it a little bit more.
Yeah, I guess there's much less emphasis on that nomadic aspect, when you're living in a tiny house on wheels, because there are a handful of people that I know of who are traveling in their tiny house or they're moving it every couple of months. But the vast majority of us park our tiny house for years at a time in one place.
Yeah, and the tires, it's not that easy to haul either. I just want to say that a sprinter van is a lot easier to haul.
Yeah. And it has its own motor,
I'd have to get a truck to move mine.
Yeah. So when you have moved it, you've hired a professional mover to do that?
Yes, I've used the same one, me and my sister both, because we know he can get the job done. He's not extremely expensive, and it's from our builder, so it's like still a reputable person, not just a random, hey, do you want to move my house 100 miles?
Yep. And so in the community where you are, you mentioned, now I'll warn you, I want to talk about the toilet, of course, because that's like such an interesting thing that everybody loves to talk about. So does your tiny house have a flush toilet?
So I just installed a flush toilet literally this weekend.
Oh, wow. So
I did it myself. Yeah.
Nice.
So I've had a compost toilet the whole time.
Okay.
Which was a little difficult at first.
Okay.
Because you can't just throw away like human waste. You can't do that.
Right.
So you either have to compost it, which takes a really long time, or you have to take it to a compost facility that does deal with human waste. And so finding that and doing that research was a little difficult, but once I got it, it was easy.
And so now you have a flush toilet. Did they install like the kind of the pipe in the floor for the toilet, like when the house was built, so that you'd have the option in the future?
Yes. And that is something that I'm really glad that we did say that, because they were like, do you want a flush toilet or not? And we're like, we don't know. My sister wanted a compost toilet and, I'm just doing what she's doing. So I was like, yeah, but they did put the hookups in case we did want it. And I'm so thankful, because I installed this by myself. If I had to do all that plumbing, I would have had to pay someone to come do it.
Yeah, as long as the pipe is there, installing a toilet is kind of a fun job. You got that seal.
I wouldn't say fun. I was fighting with my toilet. My toilet did not like me for the longest time.
Oh. Well,
but it was fun to do projects. Like I'm still doing a lot more projects on my house this year, and I'm excited to do it.
Yeah, what kind of projects do you have coming up?
So I am changing out my water heater because it did break on me a little while ago, and thankfully.
Is it a tank or tankless?
It's a tankless water heater.
Okay.
So it did have natural gas, like it took propane, but I think I'm switching to an electric one just because I feel like that's a lot easier overall.
Yeah.
Because hooking up and taking down a propane tank is sometimes frustrating because I run out of hot water and then I'm like, dang, I have to run to the gas station, get some propane and hook it up in the middle of the night.
Yeah. Yeah. I have to say, of all the systems in my tiny house, the propane has been the most troublesome for me, just in terms of running out of gas, having it actually freeze up at times in the deep winter. And then you have the whole like question of, is it leaking and needing to check it periodically.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't know how to hook up a propane tank after all these years because it just was not working. But I also have to change out my fridge in my kitchen. I have to fix it because in the tour video, my door opens up away from my kitchen. And everybody, and when I say everybody, I mean everybody was telling me, just flip the door around. I shouldn't have it open towards the kitchen because I could do that. I've just been lazy to do it. So that'll be one of my next projects.
Ah, okay. I asked John and Finn Kernahan of United Tiny House Association what they love about their precision temp hot water heaters. And here's what they told me.
Hey, Ethan, this is John and Finn Kernahan with United Tiny House Association.
We organize Tiny House Festival.
Oh, yeah, I guess so.
First and foremost.
We have a total of 3 precision temp on-demand hot water heaters. The thing we really like about these, and folks know this, I think they picked this up on Finn and I, if we don't like something, you'll never hear us talk about it. So the 2 things we noticed that we noticed and experienced immediately, they took painstaking effort to make sure that it was done right and installed. And so that was pretty cool right there. The other thing is the continuous on-demand hot water that just ran forever without any fluctuations or anything. I can't imagine an application, especially in our environment and our lifestyle of being the nomad, transportable, mobile, tiny lifestyle where one of these units aren't good to use.
Yeah, I think that's a cool thing about tiny houses is that a lot of these handy projects are within reach. And you might have to learn some things to do them, but the scale is smaller for everything.
I think so as well. And I like being hands-on and doing this stuff because I feel like once I learned the basics, which is what I feel like in the tiny house, nothing too extravagant. If I ever do go and get a full-size house, I can have at least some kind of understanding on these appliances. Like I've had to take apart my washer dryer combo so many times that I could take it apart and put it back together and not even think about it. I can do it in probably 5 minutes.
What have you had to do? Like, why are you having to take it apart so often?
Well, I had to do that because what happened was one of the hoses, like it wasn't draining properly because I didn't know where to find the lint trap because it's a washer dryer combo. And so it just got filled up and I didn't know how to, rinse it out and fix it. So I took it apart. I thought I did something because I went online, put it back together. Nope, it was still leaking. It was just a bunch of stuff. So it took me about a week to figure out what was actually wrong with it. And they don't sell just individual parts for this. So if it breaks, I just have to get a whole new one because the brand.
Oh, no. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what brand I ended up getting, but I got a brand that doesn't sell individual parts.
That's no good. That's a tip to listeners. Like, make sure that you can get spare parts for the appliances that you buy.
You don't think about them because they're not very common appliances. Like in the US anyways, washer dryer combos aren't that common. Washers and dryers are very common, but just the combination ones aren't. And so having to find the right one for that and such like that.
One of the features that I really like about your tiny house is the staircase. It's like a diagonal bar that comes down from the wall, and then each stair tread is supported just in the middle. Is that a feature that's unique to your house, or
yes, it is.
Okay.
Because when I was designing my house, I don't know if you've seen the tour or not, but my house is very neutrals. It's very black, white, grays. I think it has like a little bit of like light blues in it. And to me, I enjoy that, but I also do like a little bit of warmth here and there. My sister's house is very warm, orange tones everywhere. And so I was trying to figure out how to incorporate that like with wood, whether that's in the stairs or like in the ceiling, the floor. And the person that was building my house, he was like, I have this great idea. What's your budget? And thankfully, me and my sister had a pretty nice budget. He was like, I'll just make you custom stairs. And so that's how I have. They're custom floating stairs. So they're technically floating, but in a tiny house, you need to make sure they're hooked up to something because if you ever want to move it, we don't want it to fall.
Okay. So they're floating off of that one central kind of thing.
Yeah. They're not even connected to the wall.
Okay, cool.
Things have fallen before.
Okay, so they can actually come off.
Yeah, I could unscrew them.
Wow, okay.
If I wanted to.
You don't do that when you move, though. They just stay where they are.
No. Yeah, because the bar that it's connected to is a steel bar, and that is reinforced on the floor and the wall.
Got it.
But the stairs themselves, if I ever wanted to change out the wood or restain it or anything, I could just unscrew them all, do that, and put them back on.
Nice. And so your sister's house does not have that staircase?
No, she has a more put in staircase, like what you would typically see in a tiny house that's like attached to the wall. Usually have storage underneath. Hers underneath is like a reader's nook because she reads. Like I cook, she reads. So she has a giant bookshelf in her house. She has a place to sit and read if she wants. I mean, she has a baby now, so can't really do that. But yeah, and then she has a second loft, so she has a ladder as well.
Okay. And your loft it's pretty generous sized because it's like almost, well, it's not completely closed in, but it's got like a half wall, right?
Yes. So me and my sister were just talking about this recently. My house, anyways, has very defined spaces in a sense. Like my kitchen, you can tell it's the kitchen. You can tell it's the living room. The bedroom as well, which the loft is fully enclosed almost. You can just see a little bit on top, and the staircase, it's open under there at the hole, but it's pretty secluded, like almost like a bedroom, just technically without a door.
Okay.
And I'm very grateful that I built my house that way because sometimes it just feels like one giant room, and then it really doesn't feel like a house, at least to me anyways. So I am thankful for that.
Yeah. The tiny houses can get a real tunnel effect where it just feels like it's all this one big tube.
Yes. Not always the most fun when you have that realization.
Yeah. No. And having that separate space does help. I don't know. I gather from your Instagram posts that you work from home.
Yes, I do.
Do you have a space that you specifically work in?
Yes, I work in my living room only because to me it gives a lot of light and I can see almost all of my windows, and it's more of a comfortable space. I wouldn't want to work in my kitchen, and I wouldn't really want to work in my bedroom. I could if I wanted to, but I enjoy the living room aspect because when I'm in my living room, I'm usually doing something that's either on my computer, my phone, something electronic, watching some TV. So it just makes sense to have this also be my office space.
Yeah.
When I was building my house, I had designed my house to be in my living room and work because I was a student then. So I do have a desk technically in my tiny house in the living room for me to work on. It's just I don't use it all that much.
Yeah. And then in your kitchen, are the appliances like full size? Are they kind of RV size, somewhere in between?
So I thought my appliances were full size, not my fridge. My fridge is a 3/4 length fridge. But in my mind, I thought my washer dryer combo and my oven were like normal size until I go back to my house or like my dad lives in, and they're not normal size at all. They're so small. So I think they're like, I would say, if not RV size, a little bit bigger than that because they are pretty standard. I have a 4-burner stove, but it is a little on the smaller side.
So you have a couple of videos on YouTube. There's one that's called Sunday Clean with Me, and you just like go through, it looks like mostly the kitchen and in the house too. And you pick up, is that a weekly ritual for you?
So usually on Sundays, that's when I do like my full clean. Once a month, I deep clean, which is like moving everything. Thankfully, it's not too much. I don't have a big house, so it's not hard to deep clean it. But like moving the oven, stove, like doing all the laundry for the sheets, that's like a once a month kind of thing. But every Sunday night, I do like to start my Monday with a clean space, specifically a clean kitchen, because I kind of meal prep on Saturday and Sunday. So it's just good to make sure my kitchen is fully clean, ready for my week. Because it's just me, it's usually not too much stuff.
Right. Yeah, you seem very well organized. So congratulations.
Thank you. I love being organized. I went to the Container Store with my sister a couple weeks ago. The best time of my life. So much fun.
I've never been to a Container Store.
Oh, you have to go.
Yeah.
I bought so much stuff, and they work well in a tiny house because being organized helps not feel like it's cluttered.
Yes.
I do have a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it's important to not have all your stuff just like out. It needs to go in somewhere.
Yeah. Plus, it makes it easier to feel present in the space when there's not too much going on around you.
Yeah. Is there anything that has surprised you about tiny living that you weren't expecting?
Yes. I don't know why I wasn't expecting this, but there are a lot of bugs when you're living tiny. Well, you notice them anyways.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure that's because when you're in a normal sized house, bugs are always there as well. It's just the space isn't so small. You don't see them a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But spiders love trying to come into my house. Mosquitoes love coming in my house. I had to put up a net and everything because they just love coming into my house. And ants. Ants are a big problem when it comes to tiny house living. Well, for me and my sister and our community anyways. They just come out of nowhere. They disappear. They come back. You can never just fully get rid of them.
All right, so bugs.
Mm-hmm.
If you could go back and give yourself pre-tiny house advice about your tiny house, what would you tell yourself?
Let's see. I think about this a lot, actually. I would say be cautious of your electronics and your outlets and where you'll be spending most of your time. Because most people, like in my kitchen, I have a plethora of outlets. Like I cook in there a lot. I'm always using appliances. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
In my living room, my outlets are so far away. Like if I was to plug in my phone, I have to plug it in almost across the room, which isn't too big because it is a tiny house. But I can't just sit on the couch like some people and just like be on my phone. I have to plug it in somewhere, have an extension cord of some sort. That you should really be cautious of, especially since we're a very technology-based society now. And I work from my house now. So it's like, I wish I had known that before.
I so agree with you that, the outlets, when I designed and built mine, like I thought I was putting in a lot of outlets.
Yeah.
Like more than I needed. And then like, I don't have half as many outlets as I need.
Yes. See, you understand.
Yeah.
And another, I think I would have already built in storage. It'd be like, I should buy or pay for or look where you want storage already built into your house.
Yep.
Because I have a lot of storage in my kitchen because, I have cabinets, but there's no actual storage in my house in the living room. I have a couch that has storage in it, but there's no cubbies. There's no like shelves. It's just this rectangular piece of my house. So having to build it and put all that in is a little bit more of a hassle than I could have had done in the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Do you have, you mentioned maybe wanting a bigger house at some point. Is there like a specific time that you're like, okay, after this many years, I think I'm going to want to move on from tiny house living? Or, how are you just kind of taking it day by day, year by year?
I think for me, there's not a specific time that I want to be out of my house.
Okay.
I just know personally, I can't have a family in my tiny house. My tiny house was not built for family living, like at all. It was built for me to live as a single adult. And now I do have a partner. I am together with him, but I still own my space. And this is a great space that I still have by myself. But my sister, I don't know how she does it. Her and her kid, my niece, love them. She's great in a tiny house. I can't do it. So I'll probably be out before I have kids.
Okay. Yeah, because it is quite a small space to share with a young one.
And, if you build your house in the hopes or in the aspect of having kids, then it's a lot easier. Like,
right.
But that was not in my plan at all. So there's no place for a child to sleep, to play, to run around. Like, I don't have any of that.
But you do have a dog or more than one dog?
I have 2 dogs.
Oh.
But they're little. Yes, so I have 2 dogs. One is Tallulah. They're both Shih Tzus.
Okay.
Technically, I'm allergic to dogs, but I can't not have a dog, so they're hypoallergenic, quote unquote. Okay. But I have Tallulah. She's 9 years old, my little old lady. And then I have Chaos. He just turned 2. He was my COVID baby. I got him during COVID.
Okay.
And he's also a Shih Tzu, and they just keep me company. Great in a tiny house.
And Chaos.
Yes.
Great names.
Tallulah, we got her from the shelters. That was her name to begin with. And Chaos, I got her from Craigslist. And if anyone ever sees him, he's just this big ball of chaos. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if he's going to run around. He's just going to sit on you. You never know. We'll find out.
So he's aptly named.
Yes, I believe so.
Nice. Well, one thing that I like to ask all of my guests is, what are 2 or 3 resources that have kind of helped you on your tiny house journey? This could be books, podcasts, YouTube channels, movies, really anything that's helped you that you'd like to kind of share with our listeners.
So for me, what's helped me mainly was YouTube, only because YouTube was just very easily accessible back then. By back then, I mean like 2018. It was like one of the main platforms at the time. And so using that and just seeing how different people design their houses, seeing how different houses were laid out. There wasn't that much out there, but, it was still enough to be able to be like, okay, I don't want an L-shaped kitchen. I want my kitchen all the way on one side. I don't want my bathroom next to my kitchen. Like, I was able to do those and see those kind of things. And funny enough, House Hunters was probably one of the biggest things that helped me, but not the tiny house hunting. It was just like regular house living. Only
regular
because,
house hunters.
Yeah, just regular house hunters, because I was able to see the different designs that I would like in a house. Because like I said, tiny houses, they weren't very common back then. So I can say, I want a kitchen with white cabinets, but what kind of backsplash would go with that? And just because it's a small space doesn't mean it can't have the same aspects of a regular house. And then also, I guess this is more than 2, but Google. My sister Googling a lot. I don't know if some of the websites are still out there that we use.
Yeah.
But it was always like, information on parking a tiny house. And they would tell you, try to be RV certified, because then you can park it in RV parks and stuff like that, which was really helpful. So just typing in questions onto Google sometimes gave great resources.
Nice. Well, that's a great thing. There's a lot of great tiny house information available online.
Yes. And it's becoming more popular now. It's becoming more accessible. More people are talking about it online anyways.
Nice. Nice. Well, Ashley, thank you so much for being a guest on the show today. It was really fun to get to know you and learn about your tiny house life.
It was fun. Thank you for the interest in having me on here. I enjoy talking to people about tiny living. So
thank you so much to Ashley Monkhouse for being a guest on the show today. You can find the show notes, including pictures of Ashley's tiny house and a complete transcript at thetinyhouse.net/211. Again, that's thetinyhouse.net/211. Well, that's all for this week. I'm your host, Ethan Waldman, and I'll be back next week with another episode of the Tiny House Lifestyle Podcast.